Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out the alpha version of a game called Neon Phoenix by developer Fisholith. This is an arcade game that was designed for the 80s jam, which I'm not necessarily familiar with, but man, there's jams cropping up all over the place, aren't there? Just the one I did yesterday, I think there was like 3 jams that I hadn't heard of, and then this is another one that I think I need to investigate, because it's produced something quite cool. So Neon Phoenix is a top-down, action-y kind of arcade game where we're going to be trying to fly our Phoenix around to land on top of some gems and not get hit by other things, and it's a very simple, very accessible little experience that I happen to run into on Game Jolt. And honestly, it's not super deep or anything, and it's also not super done either, but I just really like the soundtrack and the aesthetic of it, and I have a feeling a few of you might enjoy it just as much as I did. I was actually just kind of straightening up around the room, and I just had this game open. I was just letting the title screen music just loop over and over and over again and just kind of jamming out to it, so I figured if anything, well, maybe we'll all enjoy that, and I've left the music up intentionally a little bit higher than normal. So let us do a little bit of flying about, shall we? So let's take control. We've got our Phoenix here, and I'm going to fly it around. As you can see, the controls are very fluid. I'm just using WASD right now, and that's really all you need. And all we're going to do is just look for these gems, turn them from orange to blue, and once each red circle's spheres have turned from orange to blue, it'll activate another one, and we just want to avoid those, because that's what happens, we lose. If you run into the mines that are floating through the air, orbiting, or whatever you want to call them, yeah, that is GG, and you start over. So as you can see, there's a counter on the top. Counter's a little bit cut off, unfortunately. It's not necessarily something to do with, like, an HTML issue or something, as far as I can tell. I have tried this in both Chrome and Firefox and had it come up cut off like that a little bit. But, you know, the game's in alpha. It's a game jam. Game's created very quickly, so, you know, no ill will or anything. It's just probably the way it is for now. Just a bug. And I'm going to zoom out using the minus key on my keyboard and just basically run straight into that mine, which I wasn't supposed to do. Let's try that again. I find it's a little bit easier to see what you're doing when you have a little bit more room to navigate. Oh my gosh, it's hard to get used to the way that the bird controls, because it's a little bit snake-like. It's not like it turns on a dime or anything, and I'm not using an analog stick, so there's a little bit of give, as you can see, as I bowl left and right. It almost kind of has a bit of momentum and flexibility, which is kind of cool, actually. And it makes flying a little bit more tricky, but at the same time, it feels better, and when you perform well, you feel like you've done good, and it's like you've done something a little bit better than just flown in a direction that was easy to achieve. So, I mean, I've never been a Phoenix in life. I imagine it's probably not the easiest thing to fly around, so maybe this is a simulatory experience or something like that. So as you can see, we're activating more and more of these spheres, and they have kind of like a warbly pattern, don't they? I don't know if it's just me, but it sort of looks like as you fly over them, there's like almost heat lines, like what you would see coming off of an oven on a cold day or something. Maybe it's just a little bit of a distortion, or maybe it's the interference of the background combined with a little bit of a, what seems to be like a flare effect happening, like a glow coming off of these gems. It's also interesting to see once these spheres start to overlap a little bit, which they seem to do randomly. There isn't really like a prescribed order to how these things move around. So you could end up with a run that's much, much more difficult sometimes over other times. And I do appreciate, too, that the collision boxes are a little bit more gentle with... Oh, that was terrible. They're more gentle with the mines that kill you versus the gems, which you want to touch. Seems like you can run through the mines just by touching it with your wing, and it's not going to necessarily end your life like that. See that? But then if I go over to one of the gems and I touch it with the same amount of wing, well, I have to not directly jam myself right into them. But if I touch them with the same amount of wing, it should activate them successfully, which is good, because, you know, positive is hopefully going to be easier than negative in most cases, and you want to reward the player less than punish them. And I feel like the balance is pretty right. And, you know, when you have a good run of this and it feels like you're moving well and you kind of have things lock into place, it feels very nice. It feels good to control. Now, again, I can't say that there's all that much depth to this game. You're just kind of flying around, you know, having a good time, enjoying the music, but there doesn't always have to be much depth to things. Sometimes it's just that simple, that you can just enjoy the experience, have a good time, just letting yourself be in the moment, and not really think too much about anything. Because, you know, what are games if not the breadth of everything, varying from games that are incredibly deep and complex down to the things that are completely twitch and gut reactive. And it's nice to see both sides of the spectrum on occasion. I tend to favor, a lot of the time, the ones that are a little bit more cerebral, metaphorical, and all of that stuff, but, you know, I like to make sure that I cover ones that are a little bit more reactionary as well, or dexterity-driven, maybe is the right word. I don't know why, but I keep getting this feeling like, and maybe it's just the bird connection, but I feel like I'm playing Joust or something, like something from the mid to late 80s, which is very much appropriate considering this came from the 80s Jam. And also the neon element probably doesn't hurt any either. I think that's one of those key things that, like, if you're interested in getting your game covered on Indie Impressions, throw in some neon, certainly doesn't hurt. I seem to favor games that have that sort of aesthetic a lot of the time. I'm thinking Death Ray Manta also had a lot of this kind of thing going on. I could also see a lot of sort of expandable features that this game could go down, where it's like one level could be like this, then you finish it, or you get a certain amount of gems, and then maybe you have to do like a flying challenge where you have to stay within 2 goalposts and not run into stuff, or, you know, target challenge where maybe the gems are moving and you only have a certain amount of time to touch them before you lose, or, you know, like a gauntlet of various little challenges that could... Oh, I really didn't think it was going to move out that far. But yeah, I could see a lot of different potential objective-based gameplay for this. It doesn't always have to necessarily be just this simple, although I think what it is actually pretty complete. Again, minus the fact that the number at the top is maybe cut off a bit, and, you know, could probably do with some kind of leaderboards or something. Especially since this is on Game Jolt. I know Game Jolt has its own kind of proprietary back-end for leaderboard abilities, so maybe they could code that in at some point. It would be kind of neat to compete with friends on this and just see how many gems you could get. Although, again, it might be a little imbalanced considering every time you play it is a little bit of a different experience, right? So, you know, you might end up with one person that has all of their circles don't really stack up on top of each other, and then you get somebody who has bad luck, and mostly every time they play it, the circles stack up, which results in all of the mines orbiting each other in a detrimental fashion. I would also love to see it if there was a little bit more going on in the background as well, although I do appreciate that the developer has taken care to delineate the foreground from the background in a meaningful way. I don't mean to make things overly complex or make it difficult to see what's going on. That's definitely, you know, the opposite of what you want, but at the same time, embracing the chaos of something like this could be kind of cool as well. Also maybe some more reactive features. The more gems you light up, maybe the more activity could be going on, which would sort of serve to gate the player into eventually losing more readily. If you have more and more chaos, it becomes harder to process what's happening, and thereby you'll have a harder time staying concentrated. I'm thinking maybe every time you pick up a gem, another asteroid could shoot by or something. It could just turn into, like, bedlam in the background. Maybe it'll be like an evolving spacescape that becomes more and more visible the more you play. I think I just started that level having already activated that gem, which is kind of a nice thing, I suppose. But anyway, I think that's about all I really wanted to say on this one in particular. Neon Phoenix, it's a cool game. I think you should try it. It's totally free. You can play it in your browser, and you should probably just, like, leave it on and jam out to the soundtrack for a while. I love this song. It's so good. I kind of want an expanded version of the soundtrack, just like an album of this to listen to. So, yeah, regardless of what you might think about the game, at least you'll probably enjoy the music at the very least, but hopefully you'll enjoy both of them, as I did. So anyway, with that, I will leave you for another day. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Make sure you leave a like on the video if you haven't already. It just helps to propagate the videos, make sure new people can find out about them, and of course, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this. I'm always interested in discussion on games like this, especially the ones that are kind of just all about just reactionary response. Like, do you still play a lot of games like this? Do you enjoy the arcade-style gameplay? I certainly do, and I'm kind of curious to know if, you know, the people that watch these videos sort of weigh in one direction versus another on that topic. It'd be kind of an interesting thing to discuss. Maybe I could do a straw poll at some time, like on my Twitch channel or something. Anyway, I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic night. Talk to you all later.